First thing you're going to need to do is remove the two 14 millimeter screws holding on the caliper to the caliper mount. After removing the wheel, of course. Little wiggle and pull, it'll come right off of there. And then you need to depress the piston. There are many tools available for this. These ones are not that hard to push in. I just use a large pair of pliers. Works just fine. Make sure the brake caliper is not hanging by the hose. It either needs to be hung up or find a place it can rest without risk of falling. And then it's two 17 millimeter bolts to remove the caliper mount. Remove the old shims and take the wire wheel to clean up the mating surface so that the new shims can sit flush on the caliper mount. All the shims are the same for this one, so you don't really have to worry about the orientation. Just make sure they're popped on properly. And you need to remove the pins, wipe off the old grease, the old brake lube. It's a special grease, not just any grease. If they're seized or rusty, you're going to need to wire wheel those as well. Get them clean, lube them up, put them back in. I like to turn them as I put them in. It spreads the grease nicely across the pin. Remove the caliper. When you go to install remove the rotor. When you go to install the new rotor, usually they have some sort of oil or grease on them so they don't rust during shipping or packing. You'll need to clean that off. These ones are painted. It didn't have anything on them. A couple Phillips screws holding it on. Those do not need to be tight, just snug. They're just there to hold the rotor straight while you're installing the other brake components. 17 millimeter, reinstall that caliper mount with the greased pins and the new shims. I like to put a little bit of lube where the brake pads ride on the shims. You don't want to put too much or it'll just attract dirt. These ones have some little spring clips to keep the brake pads pushed apart off the rotor. You'll need to hold the brake pads on so they don't come shooting off of there. They should be loose and free. They should want to spring off with that spring clip that holds them on. Reinstall those 14 millimeter screws and bolts. And then to torque the tires, 100 foot-pounds.